Good morning and welcome to Cup of Faith. And today is Wednesday, November the 24th, almost through November. Boy, 1 month till Christmas Eve. How's your Christmas shopping going? In our home, Brenda buys everybody's and I buy hers, and that's the way it's been for a long time. I'm not sure it's fair, but for me it works anyway. Probably a lot of households are like that. I was thinking about a movie that I'd watched some time ago called Mr. Deeds, and there's a scene in it near the end. It's where there is a member of shareholders of a large company, and these shareholders are very I think they're upset. They think they have an offer to sell all their shares and to make a lot of money, and Mr. Deeds comes in and he tries to talk them out of selling the shares. And when he does, he asks a lot of people, when did you give up on your dreams? Because now the only dream they had was to have more money. And one that I thought was quite funny, he asked somebody, what was your dream? He says, well, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then he says, well, what are you doing now? I own a chain of slaughterhouses. Quite a disconnect there. But it's a great question. When did we give up on our dreams? Regardless of our age, are you still pursuing your dreams? Is there things that you still want to accomplish, that you'd love to accomplish? Personal goals, things for God. So let me ask you another question. Well, if we are not pursuing our dreams, what's holding us back? What's holding us back from our dreams, our potential, and even our calling? A lot of us had callings from years ago, and somehow it has been pushed to the side, and we're living okay lives, but we're not in alignment with what we believed a long time ago God wanted us to do or to accomplish. I suspect that there are four things that hold us back. First of all, there's fear. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of the results, the hardships. Sometimes we're even afraid of success. There's also self-talk. This is the internal criticisms that tell us that we are no good, we're going to fail, we always fail, we have too many deficiencies. And then there are the external criticisms. We're going to focus a little bit on that today. But people who just kind of hold you back, to tell you can't get that done. They remind you of your track record. When we worked in the inner city of Winnipeg, and it was very difficult for the homeless to succeed, even though they had dreams of white picket fences and homes, because the people around them, out of their own fears and insecurities, would try to drag them back, and usually with success. And here's the fourth thing, I think. They're the obstacles. There's no doubt about it that our dreams, the things that we would like to be successful in, the things that we feel God has called us to do, success is never easy. And a lot of times we think that if it's the will of God, it's just going to be easy, and it's going to be cheap, and it's going to be effortless. And that is very seldom ever the case. Excuse me. Now let me ask you a question. If you are on a path of achieving success, a path of fulfilling God's will in your life, a path of a big change, and you have adversity or criticism, how do you handle it? Let me give you a couple of examples if I can. Thomas Edison, and you probably heard this one a lot, but Thomas Edison may hold the world's record for the most failed attempts for reaching success on a single project. We know him as the inventor of the light bulb, and he failed over 10,000 times before he invented the light bulb that would actually work. Now, his response was not dejection. It was not, it's about time. Every time he failed, he said he had figured out 10,000 ways that don't work. And that's for a lot of us that have tried and failed and tried and failed. It's okay. We figured out things that haven't worked. If I can say parenthetically as well, and maybe I've said this before, if you are one of those people that has struggled with things in the past, be it weight loss, an addiction issue, whatever it is, and you've tried, you've succeeded for a while, you've failed, but you've tried again, let me tell you, you're my hero. Because when we know what failure looks like, and even the possibility or the probability of failure, and yet we will try again, that is one of the greatest examples of character that I know. So I applaud you if you're in that category. Let me tell you another person, Walt Disney, the famous Walt Disney. Now, people know about Disneyland and Disney World and Disney cruise ships and Disney hotels, and they see all of these successes, most of which have happened since his death. But what we don't know about Walt Disney is that he began his career by getting fired. He was fired from a newspaper because they said he wasn't creative enough. When he started his Mickey Mouse cartoons, they were rejected because they were deemed as too scary. And if you saw the early drawings of Mickey Mouse, maybe they were. They were too. And then when he developed the story of the Three Little Pigs, that was also turned down because it only had 4 characters in it: the pigs and the wolf. But thankfully, the Disney company has succeeded, and he overcame. He had big dreams, and a lot of us have had the benefit of going to Disneyland and to Disney World, and maybe even the cruises, because he chose not to listen to any of his critics, and he pressed forward towards his dreams. In 2001, 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago to the day, Brenda and I, we left Moose Jaw. We had just moved back, and I was in graduate school, and we had been invited to go to Siloam Mission to run a little tiny organization that served the inner city homeless. We didn't know anything about inner city homelessness. We didn't know anything about First Nations. We didn't know anything about what was called a parachurch or a nonprofit organization. We had no experience in any of that. We only knew how to treat people like they were Jesus. And so we did. And we had a lot, and over the years it became a multi-million-dollar organization and a household name that served thousands of inner city people in diverse ways. I can tell you it was not easy. We had a lot of battles along the way, and we had one board meeting where one of my board members was so frustrated with me, he basically quit on the spot. And it was a tough journey, but it succeeded because we believed that God loved the poor. But I'm going to keep going here just for the sake of time. Anytime you get serious about pursuing your dreams and doing big things for God, people are going to oppose you. You can count on it. Sometimes it's even your best friends. It's your family. It's going to be like Job's wife when he was going through a hardship, and she just said, "Why don't you curse God and die?" So be aware of that. And one of the examples from scriptures is the nation of Israel on the verge of going into the promised land the second time. And they were not happy about it. And it said the voices of the great chorus of people protested against Moses and Aaron. If only we had died in Egypt, even here in the wilderness. How many times have we thought it's better to go back than to go forward? I know what I've got there. A lot of people go back to broken dysfunctional relationships because they know what they've got. A lot of people go return to their addictions because they know what they've got, and they're afraid of the future, and they're afraid of what success is going to look like, because life is going to be very different. So they preferred going back. So why is the Lord taking us to this country only to have us die in battle? Our wives and our little ones will be carried off as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to return to Egypt? And a lot of times that's a great phrase. A lot of us feel it would be better to return to Egypt, but it's not. So this is what Aaron and Caleb are getting. They're getting all of this criticism. It gets even worse because the people actually want to stone them. And this is in Numbers chapter 14, verse 10. It says the whole community began to talk about stoning Joshua and Caleb. I'm sorry, it wasn't here. It was Joshua and Caleb. And then the glorious presence of the Lord appeared. God's presence saved them. They were the ones who said, we can do it, we can go forward, God is with us. People criticized, even threatening them, and God showed up and protected them. So when you go after your dreams or God's calling in your life, you're always going to have the naysayers. We know that, right? We've established that. So I'm going to encourage you today on just a couple of things. Make the decision to reject the negativity, because it's never helpful. It is seldom wise advice. But do this. Count on God's perspective, how God sees things and how God sees you. Count on God's promises. Count on God's presence to see you through. And if I was going to add just one more little thing, find encouragers. Place encouragers around your life. Bring coaches, because we don't have it all figured out. There are things we have to learn along the way. There are things that we'll be able to improve on. So if we have encouragers and coaches, success is more probable than if we talk ourselves out of attempting it. Bless you today. May the Lord be with you. We love you. I trust you're having a great week. And as I customarily do, cheers, my friends. Enjoy your cup of faith. Bye for now.